Good morning, everybody. So, I've decided to make it a ritual, something of a ritual on my Sunday, early morning, well, just before lunchtime, streams of making myself a nice plunge of coffee. In this particular case, it is Robert Harris Italian and Irish cream blend, because I need strong, but I need tasty as well. This will get all the coffee lovers going. Oh. Either that or everybody who needs to pee. It's giving you an opportunity to go and pee right now before this hour-long live stream. We'll see how it goes. Hello, everybody. Hello, Richard. Hello, Gorhath. Pokemon for what? Jibble. How's it going? Moondog Martian. Hey! It's Saturday for everybody else in the world. Another glorious day on Toril. Actually, today, as you can tell by the title screen of the live stream, we're in the Sigil. So, yay! And this is the Father's Day stream. So I just wanted to wish my father, Chris Pickett, a happy Father's Day. He's the man who's responsible for putting me in this world, for better or for worse. So I owe everything to him. Do I have a favourite race to play? Pretty much all of them, really. I'm partial to gnomes, actually, and what else? Some of the weirder ones, like Genasi. I've played a few Genasi over the years as well. Another glorious trip to Sigil. That's right. How did I get here? I don't know. But here we are, nonetheless. Cheers, everyone. Oh, that is just divine. There ought to be a law. Honestly, that is my drug of choice. Does my dad play? No, but I am moving out to the orchard, so I may possibly introduce my parents to Dungeons and Dragons, considering that they're pushing through their 70s. That would be quite an interesting experience. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe. I mean, they hear a lot about it from me anyway, so I wonder if they're curious. It's never really come up. Elves, half-elves, and humans. Yeah. Humans are the most commonly played character class, would you believe? According to D&D Beyond statistics anyway, for character creation. So it's either that or maybe it's skewed a little bit because a lot of people use D&D Beyond to make NPCs. I wonder if they ever considered that. Hey, William. X-Poison! Hey, Trey. What is that, gerbil? Random fact, everyone in Sigil has anemia? Everyone in Sigil has anemia. Possibly due to the fact that it's very hard to import fresh grown vegetables there, and also the climate is inimical to growing vegetables in Sigil, obviously, because it's misty and horrible. Hey, Bryce, how's it going? You want to play a squirrel in my game? Or in our game? Yeah, maybe. So news for everybody. I will. My friend Ian, and I have recorded our first hour-long podcast. It's not yet uploaded. We decided that we're going to build up a little bit of a backlog of them so that the production and the output of podcasts will never be interrupted by any real-life events and things. And also, we're going to be releasing a podcast with me and him every 2 weeks, and I will possibly be doing another bi-weekly podcast in between of me releasing my older videos audio, improved and enhanced, so it's better to hear. As squeamish as I am to do that, because I didn't write scripts for those old videos and things, so the cadence of my talking and the ums and ahs and coughs and splutters and things like that and repeating myself is very evident to me. But a lot of people have asked that I improve the audio on those old videos, and I feel honor bound to do so. Hey Sam, yeah, it has been. Hey Mr. Goats. Humans are OP in every edition I've ever played. Well, they're kind of designed to be, really. I mean, they are the most dominant race for a reason. They're the most currently, how would you say, vigorous and power-hungry race in D&D. And they're supposed to be the most adaptable. Oh, honestly, you have no idea how good that blend of Irish cream coffee and Italian blend is. It's amazing. It's my go-to. You're waiting at the airport, thinking ideas for airship encounters. Oh, for sure. So griffins are a good choice for that. Also, don't forget that growls can float through the air, as can beholders. And you've got also Aarakocra, who may be they have an objection to you flying through their airspace, for instance, because Aarakocra are known to fly high in the air as soon as they see any threat on the ground. So they probably don't take kindly to somebody being up there when they get there. That sort of thing, for sure. And of course, drakes, wyverns, hippogriffs, what else? Blood mists, that sort of thing. Overpowered, yeah, they're supposed to be kind of neutral, really. Dragons, yeah, dragons, of course. Now you want coffee? Well, now's a chance. The stream has just got it started. And, of course, reminding everybody, as per usual, particularly at the start of the month, this is a monetized channel, so if I do miss any of your comments, super chats, donations, guarantee that I will see your comments and answer them. So if you have any pressing questions and things like that, super chats much appreciated, and also a guaranteed way of getting my attention. But I try and pay attention to what everybody's saying if I don't go off on a ramble about something. So last night I started up on the Patron videos in advance of everybody else. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be producing Patron videos that are a week in advance, and I'm also going to be producing other videos which the patrons get to see and everybody gets to see at the same time, because otherwise there'd be a week gap of nobody seeing any of my content apart from patrons. And since not all of my patrons watch my videos as soon as I upload them, that would be a bit of a waste of my time. The video that I produced last night, I am particularly proud of. It was a beast. I started off actually doing an entirely different video, and then I was just randomly inspired by a conversation that I think I was having a conversation on Discord or something like that, and I ended up with 7 pages of my best advice on how to run an encounter. And it's a beast, honestly. I think I will continue on making videos like this as well, because I discussed a lot of things that I've never seen anybody else cover in other D&D videos. Yeah, really, really good information. So yeah, look forward to seeing that one for you general audience in a week's time. Otherwise, the patrons, go and check it out. It's quite a doozy. Baneblade, Baneblade. Baneblades, in case nobody's familiar with Warhammer 40k, is this monstrous tank that the Imperium uses. Hey boys, hey boy, any chance of a shirtless stream? No, not until see, I don't want to talk about the fact that I'm on a diet right now, but you just forced me to. I'm on a diet right now. I don't think of it as a diet. I'm not restricting my, I'm not eating less. I'm just eating, well, I kind of am eating less, but I'm just eating different. I like the way the French put it. They say they're on a regime, which is what I'm doing. I've changed the way that I've eaten. So maybe there may be some fitness and stuff once I get to the orchard, where I'll be doing a lot more physical work and things, and I'll be outside in the sunshine and getting fresh air and doing healthy country boy stuff. So maybe there'll be a shirtless stream someday in the future. But don't forget, also, I'm a 45-year-old man. Nobody needs to see this dad bod unless they have a vested interest in it. Honestly, bad form price. It's not. It's funny, really. Orc tank better be immortal, warg. Yeah. You're on a diet too. A Scottish one. Haggis. Yeah, a strict junk food diet. A seafood diet. Seafood and eat it. Can I pay my way into being a YouTube mod as well? Oh yeah, that's right. You can have YouTube comment mods. That's true. I've never actually considered that. I think no, because essentially I'm one of the most active message board comment YouTube creators that I can possibly think of. So I don't actually need moderators because I take care of it all myself. It's one of the joys of my channel, as far as I'm concerned, and the audience and the community that has grown up around my comment section. People know that if they ask me a question there, generally I will get to it and answer it. Nothing wrong with taking care of myself. Yeah, I mean, I do feel a lot better. I've been drinking this stuff, water, a lot more, and I've discovered that it's a lot different to what I thought. Like, for those of you out there who are highly skeptical about drinking a lot of water during the day, it's weird actually, because you get used to drinking water, but you don't get used to having a lot of water in you as fast. So you kind of feel weird for the first few days, and then your body sort of adjusts to it and get used to it, and then you end up just drinking water whenever it's nearby. You just sort of grab the water and drink it on occasion. I haven't cut down on my amount of coffee that I drink though, interestingly, so I'm just swimming. That's true, Gerbil. You did meme your way into being an admin. That's entirely true. That's exactly what happened. Water, yeah. It's funny actually. I've got a friend that works at a water treatment plant, and I kind of put my foot in it, and I'd like to apologise publicly about. I prefer drinking boiled water. There's nothing wrong with the water that comes out of the tap here. It's perfectly safe. I just want to stress that. I just don't like the taste of it. It does have a different flavour, and when you boil it, it just takes away all the flavour essentially, because that's exactly how I want my water. I want it cold and wet. I don't want anything else in it. No value added. So yeah. Sorry, Jared. Coffee does help you poop. It's true. I wonder actually, in a Dungeons and Dragons context, because that's really why we're here. What do they have coffee in Dungeons and Dragons? Where is it grown in the world of Toril? I mean, I'm thinking Kalimshan, the Anarok Desert, the tropical sort of areas, hot areas. And when you think about it, why is the Anarok so hot? It's really just dry. It's an arid place, but it's not necessarily scorching hot in the Anarok. And as a result, it's slowly turning back into grassland in the D&D literature as it currently stands. But the Kalimshan and the belt across that area of the world is tropical. It's more like Florida sort of weather. Florida, Texas, that sort of thing. Mexico. Haste. Right. Oh, and it grows in Cholt. Yeah, of course. So the transport of coffee along the Sword Coast would be quite thriving, I'd imagine. So you'd have shipments of coffee coming in from Cholt, Kalimshan and stuff along the Sword Coast, working their way up north. Can you imagine pirates basically having holds full of coffee? For sure. You need a bullywug race. You mean a race of bullywugs? So they're racing, as in against each other? Take your marks, get set, go. Bound, bound, bound. Maybe. And tea, yeah. Kicks. Oh, I see. The memes, Gerbil. Gerbil's just on fire today. Have you been up all night, Gerbil? Are you posting from the hip? We need a Space Marine race. We kind of, let's see. The closest that I could think of to being a Space Marine race in Forgotten Realms, for instance, would be the Deep Imiskari. Now, the Imiskari Empire was another magic-rich, a magocracy empire that fell. And the Deep Imiskari essentially hid away a city, an extra-dimensional city, so a city composed of lands that were demi-planes, so very powerful mages and things, and essentially they locked away the entrance to it into the prime material world somewhere deep in the Underdark, and the doorway has opened, kind of. So Imiskari, who kind of get exiled from that area, get thrust out into the Underdark and have formed an Underdark community of humans who are adapted to the Underdark conditions, who are highly magical, and that's the Deep Imiskari. Now, I like to think that they could actually be techno-magical, and they could have improved their physical lot over the years that they've been operating in these demi-planes of their own design, so that they're actually physically superior to ordinary humans. So they could actually be great big 10-foot tall superhuman warriors who get armed, like get beefed up for bear when they come out into the prime material world, because as far as they're concerned, it's a hostile environment that they need to take over for the Emissary Empire once more as a way to redeem themselves. Now, if that's not a space marine, I don't know what is. The Emissary were humans, yes. They are still humans. They can still crossbreed with humans. They're kind of grey-skinned human people. It gives bonuses? Does it? What sort of bonuses, Bell? Spice trade, yeah. Ed Greenwood worked out quite a complicated system of trade and the different borders of areas which grow things. Like, for instance, Thay is famous for growing apricots and that sort of thing. Yeah, the Emissary were old wizard kings that enslaved people. It's true. They can reproduce, yeah. Phase is the energy that keeps the drow restrained to the Underdark, but also they've used it to empower themselves in the Underdark, and it's also created for 10,000 years, it's created an enhanced ecology in the Underdark with a lot of species that are reliant on it. So the Underdark ecology is not like other underground places. The Phase actually is another form of energy, kind of like if you think of those deep ocean vents where you've got life forms which have grown up to, which have evolved to handle the heat and stuff, and they don't need light and other things. There's creatures down in the Underdark that live on Phase who don't need anything else. So in a way, they're kind of safer for Earth, for surface folks to interact with, because they don't think of you as food and things. They don't need you as food. But they can be dangerous because they just lumber around and they're not used to anything else in their environment. So, you know, they may be covered in spines and spikes and poisonous spores and things like that. They may be hallucinogenic, and they breathe hallucinogenic gas because they have an entirely different ecosystem and biology. So, something to consider. D&D settings versus Warhammer Fantasy. Yeah, that would be interesting. I like the idea of chaos, for instance, in Warhammer. Yeah, Vecna is a god now, so he is stronger than Orcus. That's true. Phase has become a naturalized radiation of the Underdark, but no, it was created by essentially an elven mythal, huge magical power that all of the elves got together and essentially banished the elves with the okay of Corellian Laerthian. So the elves were definitely betrayed by the elven pantheon, or Corellian in particular. The Illitheri, as they were known. Yeah, Orcus, he's waxed and waned in power. He is very powerful, and every time you sort of come across him, he's more powerful, but also so is Demogorgon. That's the thing with the Abyss, it's just getting worse and worse, really. It's slowed down. Dark brew coffee. It's slowed down in its progression, and it has ever since Obox. Ob was deposed by the Queen of Chaos, but the Abyss is still growing. So it represents a physical fantasy story element of entropy in the universe of Dungeons and Dragons. Remember, everything is enhanced, so you have super good things like angels and archons and gold dragons and things like that represent pure goodness in the D&D world, and you also have pure evil. My channel obviously concentrates a lot on the evil side of it, as I keep explaining to people. Dungeons and Dragons isn't all darkness and doom. There's also forces of greatness and good and light, and paladins and clerical orders and that sort of thing, where people are actually performing miracles. So the ability to cure somebody's disease with a spell or heal wounds on the spot is quite remarkable. So in a way, why would you need complicated... Hey, Bryce. How much to pay you to draw a door. What? Draw a door? For the sigil? Can you explain yourself? Greenish purple. Phase rest. Yeah, phase rest is a purplish kind of energy. From Netheril? Yes, I'd imagine so. So one of the best things about adventuring in the Anarok Desert, and the reason why you would brave those environments, because it is kind of harsh to go into a desert environment as an adventurer, is the fact that it's dangerous. It's very dangerous. The mythalars and the magical things that the Netheril people produced in their cities of wonder that were flying through the sky, that fell and basically created a massive, called the Stone Lands, or the, what's it called? The Broken Land? Something like that. Land of Broken Stones or something like that. So the top of Anarok is basically fallen cities that have formed up all these Monument Valley style places. But of course, when the mountaintops fell into the Anarok Desert, they punched straight into the Underdark and things like that. And so they created this massively broken network of huge dungeon complexes and things that were old cities of the Netheril. And of course, it was a magocracy, so it's packed with magical items and really, really dangerous stuff. Summoned creatures, demons and things that have been released and are just wandering around there causing mayhem. So you have no idea what you can find in there. Really powerful artifacts and things like that, and also things that have corrupted because the magic has just gone completely crazy. So it's both very rewarding and also extremely dangerous. I mean, it's adventure concentrated. So yeah. Eric the Monster, hey AJ, I've been watching your demon videos. I want to ask if a demon can be neutral or even good alignment. In Planescape Torment we had a neutral succubus, so can it even be possible? Well, the succubus is a particular case in point. They are quite different. They're more like a mercenary, they're more like a Yugoloth these days than they are a demon. They were originally demons and things, but they've kind of been watered down a little bit. Demons, no. Demons are chaotic by nature, so they just, yeah. Their very nature is oriented around deriving pleasure by tormenting and killing other things. So they are completely alien in their mindset. They're essentially they're crazy elementals. They don't have anything really in common with organic beings. They just torment and kill and destroy things. That's what they do. That's entirely how they're wired. Goodness to them is weakness and disgusting. It causes them physical sickness. So they just no. It's like saying. It's like willingly contracting some sort of a horrible disease. They don't do it. So that's where I generally like I don't often say no in D&D, but when it comes to demons, if you are playing something like a Karatur campaign where there's a mythological story-based basis for redeeming demons, which is one of the things that happens in Oriental folklore, like Asian myth and legend, for instance, you have people that become imbalanced in the yin-yang sort of forces, like Big Trouble in Little China, for instance, is a westernized good version of that, where the big chief bad guy has so unbalanced his natural forces of goodness and evil in his body that he's become immortal. He's essentially become a demon by their standards. But in the Dungeons and Dragons standard, demons are pure chaos. They are a manifested spirit through corrupted elemental energy that is trying to remake the universe into an evil place so that their messed up mentality fits in. Otherwise, everything that they find just offends them. It's like they've been thrust into an alien universe and they're trying to terraform it to become something more akin to what they're used to. And what they're used to is horrible stuff. Thanks, Bryce. Bryce is just reminding everybody that this is a monetized channel and super chats are enabled. Thanks, Bryce. I didn't even see that gerbil, unfortunately. Go ahead and offend me. I have coffee. I'm ready for it. Actually, no, don't, because I know you'll try. Yeah, you could make a broken cosmology. I mean, honestly, it's your game. If it fits in with your game, go for it, I say. Don't take anything I say as absolute verboten law. I'm just saying, when I talk about things being yes or no, I'm talking about the past, the mythology and the history and the mythos and the way things have been in Dungeons and Dragons up until this point. As soon as it hits your gaming table, my hands are off. So whatever you want to include in your story is perfectly fine with me, man. It's your game, do your thing. I have no say in whether your players can do something or your DM can do something. Or as a DM, you're completely free to change anything in your universe you like. So I don't gatekeep your creativity. Offend me. No problem, Eric. That's no problem at all. Same thing, I had the same sort of conversation with Oni, talking about why Oni have a great deal of difficulty. Even if their baby Oni is raised by lawful good parents, say they're half-elves who believe in goodness and love and oneness of all people and stuff, the Oni, even though it really tries to be good, the moment it does something to hurt somebody else, it feels good about it. It feels pleasure. Because it derives pleasure from other people's pain. So imagine it starts off as schadenfreude, like it laughs, it just can't help but laugh at a baby getting hurt, or somebody falling off the side of a wall and hurting themselves. It finds it hilarious. It's ingrained so deeply in Oni to be evil that it's a very slippery slope, and they will, like, life just hands you lemons. Life is harsh, particularly if you're an Oni in an environment where Oni are monstrous. So the moment some kid in school bullies you, the Oni is just going to react and snap their neck. They're just going to take a bite out of their face. It's like, you think I'm ugly? You're ugly now. And then they'll go, what have I done? You know, but it's the first inclination an Oni has is to inflict pain and suffering. And the moment they taste human flesh, that's it. That's it. It's all over. They'll crave it like a drug. So yeah. You can certainly try and raise an evil creature as good, but if they're inherently evil, then that's what they're going to be. They're not like guard dogs, okay? It's not like you're raising a pit bull and it's just, it's just bad by nature. No, they're not dogs. It's not that argument. Lost Girl. I haven't seen that. Boobies. Don't forget, boobies are also birds. Blue-footed boobies. What other birds do we have? Tits? Tomtits? That's progressive. Slowly working my way through this entire pot of coffee. Yeah, flying X-Blade. That's the general idea. Coco, three-armed Marta. Hello, AJ. I'm new to the D&D. I was wondering if you can roleplay or roleplay as a gnoll. I really love the way that they acted and the way that they think. So can you? Please let me know. You can. I never would, and I wouldn't allow a gnoll player character in my game because they are evil. They are tainted by the blood of Yinogu. So they're essentially got a main line to the abyss and a demon lord. So, for instance, gnolls have got a natural magic in them which allows them to create a ritual which raises an undead version of themselves. They're not built like ordinary creatures. They're magically transformed from corrupted hyenas. So it's essentially they owe their very intelligence to a demonic influence. So it's a demon spirit inside an animal body. So all of their animal instincts are still there to hunt and kill. Hyenas are tremendously good hunters. They're actually better hunters than lions are. Lions steal a lot of hyenas' kills in the wild. And I know that people do keep hyenas as pets, but that's hyenas, that's not gnolls. Gnolls are actually demonic. So the same rules apply. They just derive pleasure from killing and destroying things and tearing them apart. Like, nothing makes them happier than bathing in the fresh, pumping arterial heart blood of some screaming villager who they've just torn the throat out of. The higher pitched their screams, the more they like them. That's true, Carlos. But again, it's a slippery slope. So the Oni could be killing their way through a bunch of bandits or whatever, and then accidentally kills a bunch of gypsies, and realizes that it doesn't care either one way or the other whether they're good or bad. So without a constant good influence, the Oni is going to turn bad, to the point where they will masquerade like it's a drug for them. So they'll masquerade as a good creature and lie about it, but they will secretly murder people. It's like, nah, you caught me. That's right. Yeah, I did murder him because, you know, he's bad. Like, he yelled at his wife, so I tore his throat out. You know, it's for the greater good. Yeah, all gnolls can create witherlings. Yep. Yeah, and also there's Flins as well. The other breed of gnolls. The exception would be a person who's reincarnated as a gnoll. So essentially, you're a different soul in a gnoll body. So let's say that you could be. It's possible to be a good gnoll if you didn't actually start out as one. Right, X. And only based on Dexter. Yeah, essentially. Goblins are evil by necessity, which is slightly different. So goblins aren't demonic. They just are evil because everything tries to kill them. I mean, they don't have the best hand of cards to begin with, so they use whatever they can and by any means necessary. So they also need to breed ferociously, which means that there's not a lot of choice in the female population of goblins about whether that happens or not. And that's again a survival necessity of goblins, unfortunately. And that influences, of course, their culture from the base level of matriarchal upbringing of children and things like that. So they're communally growing, the children, in batches, you could say. And they just run around chaotically, unsupervised apart from pain and brutality. And those who don't conform to the general survive at all costs sort of aspect of goblin society get killed, or just they let them die. So, you know, and they're not that smart to begin with. So an old student at Flint Diplomacy School. Is it possible to be a good beholder? Yes, it is. Yep. That's one thing I found really interesting about the new beholder law, that beholders dream new beholders into existence. Because it makes a lot of sense in something that will come up in a future video soon. So beholders can dream themselves into existence. So if a beholder has a nightmare that it's a goody two-shoes paladin beholder, then it's entirely possible that a beholder would be born that's lawful good. And see, how would that work? Honestly, because of course it's lawful good, but it's also overwhelmingly narcissistic and arrogant. So you've got the worst kind of social justice warrior paladin traits, where it will find offense and smite anybody for any reason. So if you wanted to play that sort of a bad guy, that would be just so juicy as a bad guy. Honestly, it would be so cathartic to fight that particular beholder. Yeah. Yeah, the goblins are designed to be evil by nature, that's true. Some creatures are just evil. They just are. You really don't like Pathfinder's kingdom management system. Well, okay, so Matthew Colville's Strongholds and Crafters resource book is coming out soon on Kickstarter. I would say that's probably going to be really good for that sort of thing. Generally speaking, just look at the basics of politics and things like that. Social just water. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. They're completely chaotic, right? So beholders could possibly be good. As for kingdom management, essentially you're looking at what is the base output of that particular area. So they may be famous for some particular export. What's the local nobility like? What sort of taxation systems do they have? What sort of standing armies do they have? A lot of that can be largely self-sustaining, like the militia may basically take care of itself. Is it a feudal sort of system? There's a lot of questions they need to ask about what your basic environment is, and how it translates. But you don't have to do a lot of bookkeeping for kingdoms and things like that. It's just things that pop up, problems that pop up that need to be dealt with by leaders. And generally speaking, the villagers will be the first people to let you know that something bad has happened, or there'll be like your tax collectors will come back and say this village is not producing because the high pastures are plagued by some sort of like ankeg invasion of their pastures, which has eaten a lot of livestock, so they can't pay any taxes. You'll be like, well, why didn't they tell me? It's like, well, they're worried you're going to raise taxes next year. So that sort of thing. Offence lays in the eye of the beholder, exactly. That's a bit dark, Trevor. My parents have got a joke, since I'm the youngest in the family, they call me the last mistake, but they call my oldest sister the first mistake, so that's all right. We can joke like that in my family. I had a pretty good upbringing, honestly. Right, yeah. Yes, I have watched Andromeda. I forgot about the Magog. Same thing with Slard. So Slard are evil because they have to kill things to reproduce. Oh, you were? Okay, Jubal. I made a character that I love and the DM might not be doing the campaign. Oh, that's unfortunate. What was the character, Death by Touch? Did you assume my species? Exactly. This beholder all the time would be like, check your privilege, humanoid. A floating beholder offended by legs, people with legs. Ableist. It's like, you can fly. It's a world of possibilities for funniness, really, when you think about it. If you watch Dungeon Dad's channel, he talked about a particular type of monster, which essentially is a D&D xenomorph. I will be doing a video about it soon, because I had a request from somebody to make a video about it. But the Dungeon Dad has actually done a video about a xenomorph type creature for D&D. And the really interesting thing, the only good guy is not the brave high, right? What was I just talking about? You got me thinking about Critical Role now. Boy, I'm so easily distracted halfway through a pot of coffee. So the xenomorph, that's right, the xenomorph monsters, essentially when they were writing it, they said they've developed up to a certain point. They're pretty terrible so far, but they're still developing, they're still evolving, so come up with something worse and present it to your players if they a xenomorph. Did you ever wear cowboy boots with shorts? That's the only good upbringing. Man, I live in New Zealand, so I wore wool shorts and gumboots. And a lot of the time I walked around in 3-inch frost with no shoes on at all. Because I lived in the central North Island underneath Mount Tongariro. So... don't talk to me about country upbringing. I'll tell you some stories that'll turn your shit white. Notice that the chaotic creature, the weird of the reproductive process. Yeah, sometimes. Kruthiks, yep, Kruthiks are weird. They're not the ones I'm talking about, though. Just found my new character. A good beholder. Yeah, could you imagine? I mean, it's entirely possible to run an all-monster adventure, so all of the player characters are non-humanoid monsters. I mean, it's a role-playing game. You can play any role. You can play evil creatures if you want to, if the DM is up to it. Slards, no. I mean, no, not really. They're somewhat different. I wish it on. Did I write it down? Hang on. Did I write it down on the list? Boy, I've got so many on here. I need to redo my list because I've crossed off so many. Let's see, what have I got up coming up? Man, I haven't done the video on the Lachey yet. I got halfway through writing that script. Grungs, Coyote, Formians, Catapleba, Guanadour, Draconians. What else have we got? All sorts of stuff. Feral Gargans. Oh, I've done the one on the Wemmick. That was a player request. That was a request from a viewer as well, by the way. Scarlet Brotherhood, Trapper, Lurker Above, Swan May, Fiston Dantalus, Morden Canaan, Bigby, the Folarch, or Felarch, Sphinx, Darrow, Merska. Oh, the Merska are great. Thanks, Brycemas. Pay the man, people. That's fine, Bryce. Honestly, that was yeah, brilliant, man. Thank you very much. Inevitables, yep, for sure. Minotaurs are in the recent Unearthed Arcana. How recent? They've been around for a while. There's two different versions of Minotaurs. There's the Savage Minotaurs and there's the Seagoing Minotaurs. The Kryn Minotaurs are relatively civilized. Anthropomorphic squids that live in the Sea of Fallen Stars, whose name I can't remember. It might be Krakenith. The females don't have humanoid hands. Interesting. I haven't heard of those yet. I've got so many aquatic requests from people to do aquatic stuff because they want to run aquatic campaigns. It's not a huge majority of people, it's just a very vocal bunch of people who want me to do more aquatic stuff. So I've been trying. I have done more, you know, with Dagon and various other things. That was my effort to do more aquatic themed monsters. Can we get a video about Saruk? Yeah, they're pretty important. The Saruk and the Batrachi and the yeah. I often talk about the creator races when I'm talking about other species. So there'll be references to them in the video by the Aarakocra, for instance, and the lizard folk, and the Yuan-ti, particularly the Yuan-ti and the Naga. So yeah, the scaly folk videos, so Naga, lizard folk, Yuan-ti, I talk about the Saruk and those as well. But there's a lot of anecdotal stories about the Saruk. What time is it here? It's currently 11:41 AM, Sunday morning. Upvote, yeah. Give me a thumbs up, everybody, if you're enjoying the live stream. Also, thank you very much. I just passed 26,000 subscribers. Mind-boggling. Thank you very much, everybody. So, yeah. Just a reminder that I've got a video coming up that'll be released in about a week's time, which is one of my rambling videos, but it's very concentrated on how to build encounters. So I talk about, I've actually got my list of talking points here. Regional effects and proximity, overlapping regional effects, hearsay and rumors, and how they influence the information that you can give to your party to basically have them forearmed and prepared. Complications, so terrain, flora, fauna, weather, organizations, other creatures in the environment, false information, Handling passive perception checks and things is something I'm going to be talking about in another video on encounters and things, particularly like dungeon exploring and how you handle just like the stuff that is so mundane and so sort of assumed by experienced dungeon masters that we don't even talk about it in videos, which I think is a failing. But how you handle passive perception checks, how long a search of a room takes, that sort of thing. Active perception versus passive perception, search checks and modifiers, stealth, invisibility, illusion, light, cover and concealment, terrain, line of sight, movement, elevation, range, flight, climbing speed, burrowing speed, natural climbing speed, that sort of thing. So, and in the particular video that I was talking about, the encounter, I was talking about the Belhanoth, which is a monster from Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, which was from an earlier edition of the game. It's an aberration. It's like a tentacled slug with a massive big maw on it, and it's a psychic slug that has a 24 whole subscribers. It's true. So it's a psychic slug aberration that has a psychic lure. So it's kind of like the It creature from Stephen King's It, right? So in the original televised It series, or the movie It, the original one, it was a giant spider that had a psychic illusionary lure that it could use, and the glow effect stupefied people, and it wrapped them up in cocoons, which is why they all floated, because they were wrapped up in cocoons and floating in its lair. That was really great, and the Belhanoth is kind of like that in a way. It will, it's got a regional effect that stretches out for a mile around its lair, where it gives the impression, a subtle one at first, that the object that the everybody desires in that particular area is located in its lair, so they're drawn towards it to find whatever's hidden there. Phobophages. So when they get there, that gets stronger and stronger. Hi, Jake. And it also reads their minds and discovers what they're expecting to see there, and then it creates an illusion of what that is in the environment. It's not actually reflected in the stats of the creature, apart from the fact that it can vanish as a legendary action. Yeah, so happy Father's Day to all fellow D&D dads. Yep, it's Father's Day here in New Zealand on Sunday the 2nd of September. Yes, I don't know if it's Father's Day everywhere else, but it's Father's Day has begun here for sure. Oh, for sure, Protoss and Zerg, particularly the Zerg, and the Tyranids from the Tyranid swarm, the Hive Trigon swarm, and I love the idea of like a spaceborne aberration threat that arrives in the world of Toril, and it's just absolute mayhem. Because how do you stop it? Like, how do you travel into space? You have to go and find a Spelljammer vessel to save the world. Travel into wild space and fight a horrific, like a Tropal kind of is like a Tyranid swarm, except it's undead. So you can have something like that. And Australia, yep, true. The fear of long words. Yeah, the males have a sting, the females don't. So it's the only venomous, well, it's a monotreme, not a mammal, but yeah, most like mammals generally don't have venom, but platypuses do. I guess you could say it's the only venomous milk-producing animal. Dresden Files, yeah, I've got to read the Dresden Files at some point. Boy, Trevor, a little bit bitter there, man. Am I detecting a past? Something going on with you there with family issues. Way to bring the tone down. Oh, the II does. Does it? I don't know. I don't think the II is venomous. I think they're just scary looking. That big pokey finger. They're creepy looking critters. creatures that were not meant to be seen in the light of day. That's for sure. Perhaps this is not the forum to be talking about that sort of thing, Trevor. I mean, you know, there are people out there who have a better run of things. And there's also countries where things are handled a little bit better in regards to that as well. But it's not always the case. Do you know anybody who's willing to teach people like me? Well, essentially one of the best things to do is join like a Discord server and get involved with a bunch of people who are completely new to the game, or somebody who's just willing to take on brand new players. I quite often do. So I'm not elitist in that regard. In fact, I actually prefer to teach people D&D. I've hopefully got a new player who'll be joining my Tuesday game who's relatively new to D&D. I'll be her second DM, so that's going to be very interesting. And yeah, just leap into it, honestly. Wish Dragons had spellcasting over their legendary actions and stats rework. Well, it's kind of implied that like the way they handle it is it's a spell-like effect. So dragons, being naturally and inherently magical creatures, don't need to use, all they need is verbal components. So they just speak a spell into existence. They don't need to make gestures or anything like that, and they don't need physical components to make a spell work. So they don't need to carry around spell components and things. They can keep their hands free and just speak a spell and it happens. And they represent that by having a certain number of spells that they can use per day. So they'll have different tiers. Like they've got the equivalent of a cantrip that they can use at any time. They've got once per day sort of spells or twice per day sort of spells. So kind of representing sorcery type spell slots. And particularly most editions of the game quickly introduce expansions which allow dragons to use meta magic feats to expand their breath weapon and things like that. So the dragon's breath weapon is almost a living part of its elemental energy. So one of the things that dragons quite often learn how to do is to shape their breath weapon into particular spectacular forms. So they can split it, they can make it go around corners, they can have it change an electricity effect from a line to a cloud, that sort of thing. And it takes the place of their spellcasting in some regard. And that's yeah, so that's how they handle draconic magic. Yeah, come and join my Discord server. There's a link in the doobly-doo on this particular live stream or any of my videos. And if you go down to the description text, there's a link to my Discord, an open link to anybody to join the Discord. And you're more than welcome to find people to play games with there. You can use Discord as your voice channel. We've got voice channels specifically set up so you could play over Roll20 or just on voice, just theatre of the mind as they call it. Or you can hook up your cameras and actually have video chats with people over Discord. That's a really versatile program. I'm quite impressed with it. Like the more I use Discord, the more impressed I am with its with the freedom that you can use it. It's almost like Skype Linux, right? So it's got all these components that you can add to it. And what's really impressive about it is that there's these bots, these automated systems, functions that people create that you can insert and use in your Discord to do specific things. So you've got the equivalent of a D&D Siri called Avray, I think it is. And there's one called Craig, which allows you to record audio for a podcast, which downloads the audio of incoming voice chats into a Audible file that you can edit on the Audible server, or the Audible program. And you've got other ones which can find music for you to play while you're doing work and stuff. So it's really, really versatile. Anyway, everybody, we're coming up on an hour, and as you know, my live streams only go for an hour, generally speaking. Also, I don't want to drink all of this coffee at once, otherwise I'll start spontaneously running around the house. Have I run Tomb of Annihilation? No, not yet. Though I might. I've sort of, even though I've been role-playing for so many years, I've only recently got into running modules, honestly. Every hates everyone, does it? Certainly, yeah. Every gives and takes away with those dice rolls. Fourth edition, yeah. Fourth edition had a lot of things going for it that a lot of people are not aware of because they never tried. They just went onto the hype train of yeah. But I played fourth edition, and for Ian and I, who are probably two of the most experienced DMs who have been playing D&D since its inception, damn near. Well, since the 1980s Red Box Basics set for me, and Ian's been running D&D for 19 years. Fourth edition was fine. In fact, it's one of our favourite editions of the game. We're very active playing fourth ed. The growth of D&D after fourth edition, when fifth edition came out, is interesting, but don't expect a lot of respect from me if you never even tried fourth edition and you're dogging it, because yeah, you'd be barking up the wrong tree when you talk to me about it, because I can tell you exactly why fourth edition was really good. Write modules, don't run them. True. So would everybody like me to see, would everybody like me to create videos which are essentially modules? So when I'm talking you through an encounter, an adventure. Because I could certainly make videos like that. That'd be easy. You have a warlock with a fairy Dracolich? What? Eladrin Avenger. Yeah, exactly. The Warlord. You started with 4th edition. See? Be proud, man. 4th edition. People who played 4th edition are essentially... how do I put this? Remember when people were embarrassed about playing Dungeons and Dragons and didn't talk about it with their friends? People who played 4th edition... Oh, yes, lots. That's a lot of yeses. Okay, okay, whoa. All right, I'll do it. People who played 4th edition, be proud of the fact that you played 4th edition. You stuck with Dungeons and Dragons, the most, you know, with Wizards of the Coast during their darkest years. You supported that company. You made sure that Dungeons and Dragons still got produced. Without the people who played and bought 4th edition, the company would have gone under, and we never would have had 5th edition, and we would never have been in the position that we are now, with D&D being the most popular game of role-playing in the world, and being better and bigger than it's ever been. So be proud of the fact that you played 4th edition, and shout it at people when they start bagging on 4th edition, and tell them, like, why don't you piss off back to Pathfinder then, you turncoats? So that's my opinion on it. If you don't like 4th edition, you're bad. That's right, we held the torch, god damn it. Tell me about Pathfinder 2. Let's see how that pans out. Honestly, I don't care. I'm happy that Pathfinder exists. 4th edition is the red-headed stepchild of D&D. Yeah. Hey, man. Alright, everybody. It is that time. The time has come. As always, I will be on the Discord server after this, having a chat with anybody who wants to jump into the voice chat, so you can ask me questions directly. Thank you, Bryce, for all of your monetized contributions and the super chats. I certainly appreciate it, and everybody else. It really does make a big difference. Thank you. again to all of my patrons, and thank you particularly for your patience with me last month because I had a difficulty producing videos in advance because I had that disruption to my life where I went out and was away from home. You're not a fan of Pathfinder 2, Bryce? I have yet to check it out, honestly. I will at some point. I have so many books and things that I haven't even read yet. Like Middle-earth, for instance, or the Midgard setting from Kobold Press. See you, Mr. Goats. See you, Coco. See you, Aaron. See you, Janju. Too poor, says Bryce. Meh. I hope you got some sleep, Bryce. Pathfinder 2 is iffy right now. Come back in 6 years. I'll hold you to that prediction. Namaste, somatic component. Namaste. Oh, nice. Have a great week, everybody. Yep, I'll see you midweek for the midweek stream. I'll see you on Patreon, and of course I'll see you in all the videos that I produce. In the meantime, happy gaming, everybody's. Happy gaming, everyone.